Hi, I'm Penny from A1 Base.
And I'm Hahnbee from Mintlify.
And today we're going to be talking about building DevTools. So how did you get into building a DevTool company, and was that something you guys always wanted to do?
Yeah, so my co-founder and I, we met in college, and we knew that we wanted to build for developers from the start because it's an audience that we really resonate with. We're both builders, we both like building, we both program and like building things. And so we knew that it was an audience that we resonated with, and it's important to have empathy with your customers, which is why we've always been building in DevTools.
Love that. It's really funny because that's very similar to our story at A1 Base, where before A1 Base, Pasha and I, my co-founder, we were working on building AI agents for our houses and our cars. But we found we had a problem integrating our agents into all these comms channels, and we found out it was a problem that many other developers were having, like ourselves. And it was just a pain, like no one wanted to be managing all these integrations. And on top of that, dealing with regulations, compliance, and like anti-spam laws. And that's when we realized, like, again, being developers ourselves, we wanted to build something that other developers would love to use and just streamline the whole workflow.
Yeah, for sure. Classic building something and then building something for the process of when you're building something, like observability and things like that.
So with building DevTools, obviously, like how do you guys kind of start approaching the problem?
The way that we've built our product is very much like catered towards the developer. And so like we meet the developers where they're at, which is like their IDE. We could have started building out a whole web editor and dashboard for the editing experience, but instead we opted to like using GitHub and allowing people to use the environments that they're comfortable with. And we thought that this was going to be something that would like go away after like the first iterations, but it was actually a part of our product that ended up staying for a really long time and kind of like an experience that developers really enjoyed because they don't have to go out of the context of the work that they're already doing in order to update the docs. So I think that was like a big learning for us. We also have like a configuration file, like in like a JSON file. Also alternatively with that, like we could have done like a whole dashboard with all these little settings, but like developers actually don't want that. They want like an API. They want to have like a fine-grained level of control and be able to debug things and not be like held back by a UI.
Well, it sounds like you guys really kind of talked to your users and got down to the core of what they really wanted, and that was, you know, to live in the IDE and to have all that in the IDE. And as users of Mintlify ourselves, right, like I love Mintlify because again, if I wanted to edit anything, it was so easy to just control tab to the next file, do all of that.
Yeah. Do people want like a unified experience or like curious what the pain points are with building for email?
Yeah, well, very much at the moment. Like we went through this problem ourselves as well, where trying to put an agent into email meant you had to do all these weird integrations, all these weird workarounds with like Gmail. You're paying like $12 for every new email you give to an AI agent, and when you're building 20 agents, that's very quickly not scalable or like feasible really. And we realized developers just want a simple to use API that can send emails, receive emails, and even like programmatically create new inboxes. And the idea of like really, well, AI agents being these new nano employees or like AI co-workers, we need to give them the suite of tools that humans use. But when it comes to working with developers who are making these agents, you know, make it really easy for them to set that up.
Yeah, I think a lot of building great dev tools, like really just like as developers ourselves, just like resonating with the problems that we have and making it easier and like introducing less and less friction, like is like why developers opt to use some products over others.
100%. And I think a big part of like what we've realized building out our suite of tools at the moment as well is actually having like good developer education. We're finding that like we can put our endpoints out there and our docs out there, but like there's actually quite a lot of hand holding that's involved around like how do you set this up, like what do I build and what can I build on A1 Base.
Yeah, for sure. Documentation is definitely a lever when selling to other developers because like if the developer is like the core decision maker, their instinct is not to go to the pricing page or the landing page, it's to go to the docs. And after looking at the docs, it's evaluating how easy it is to set it up. And if it's not straight to the point or you don't understand like why or how like this product could be useful to the team, like it's not gonna get introduced.
Exactly, 100%. And we found that even as simple as like, you know, in the docs, in the first like section of the page, having a simple curl request, they can copy and paste and like just enter in the command line. The moment they see whatever result is meant to come back, it's a magic moment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like just seeing like the power of the API. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we try to make that as easy as possible to get like people to that aha moment as quickly as possible. Like a core reason why I believe Mintlify exists today is because companies like Stripe and HashiCorp really prove that good documentation matters in building a great company. And Mintlify exists today because we help other companies reach that bar as quickly as possible. It's genuinely just like something that matters. And of course, the bar is constantly rising and changing, and we're adapting as LLMs and AI are becoming more prevalent in our workflows. But yeah, it's exciting.
It definitely is. I think also curious to hear, like, obviously what we've heard recently is that a lot of our batchmates as well, they're realizing the traffic to the website is actually from AI agents and not human. And like curious to hear, I guess, like what Mintlify is kind of thinking of that, and is there going to be a split between like docs for AI versus like docs for humans?
Yeah, for sure. We have been putting a lot of effort into making sure that documentation is more LLM ingestible. For example, we offer like every single page as Markdown. You can copy it as Markdown. You can easily like open it in ChatGPT. Like, we're definitely no longer in the era of building just for humans. Like, it's also like, it's very crucial for documentation to be built for LLMs, especially if like, you know, all these companies, like all these YC companies are innovating, and we're all like launching these new things and new products. And now there's like the question of, will adoption be impacted by whether the AI is aware of my product? Like, if the LLM is being indexed every so often and you just launch something new and it's not aware of it, then there's going to be less adoption. So I think that's a really interesting problem that we also want to help companies, like, I don't know, improve their discoverability with AI and LLMs.
So obviously we're building our A1 base. Something we're working a lot on is how do we build trust and traction with our customers, especially when it comes to good documentation.
Having incorrect out-of-date documentation is more harmful than having no documentation at all. A lot of times, like, if like you just want to keep people in that flow state for as long as possible, like setting it up and like have it actually get to that aha moment. And so I think that there is like your documentation is your source of truth for your product. And so like there is a high level of trust with the quality of the documentation. Like I think like the moment that you run into a blocker or a bug, like you lose so much momentum of like getting to that aha moment for someone to set up your product. So it clearly like matters a lot for the trust, for sure.
So I love your point about if you don't have good documentation or outdated documentation, just maybe don't even put it out there yet. Because that's going to burn your users. And when it comes to developers, like I feel like you really only have so many chances before they roll off your product altogether. So are there any cool learnings that you've picked up along the journey of building DevTools?
People thought with like the introduction of AI that we'd be like basically rebuilding everything, but that's not actually true. I think like we're actually like building with the tools that we already have in hand. For example, like AI is not going to rebuild Next.js. It's not going to rebuild email or like all these frameworks that already exist, or like text messaging. It's going to reuse what already exists. Similar to how Waymo like has to drive within the constraints of the streets of the cars, of the streets that already exist out there. And so I think that is a really interesting point in building. Even with the introduction of AI, like we're still building within the constraints of the world that we exist in today.
So what do you think won't actually change with obviously all the AI in the engineering and dev space?
I think a lot of things would stay the same, honestly. Like, yeah, I don't think that developers as a whole are going to be replaced. I think currently there's still a lot of guidance that needs to be done in terms of making the right like design decisions, and like you have to like push the AI in the right direction and such. And so I think that it's an exciting time, and I don't think people should be scared of AI per se. We should continue to build the foundations because there's still so much to be built.